Hello, how can you start learning about Apache Beam? In this video today, we are going to focus on what resources are available to give you first steps with Apache Beam. In the website, there is a dedicated page with a lot of more details of what we are going to be seeing here today. So I encourage you to go to this page and check all the videos, books, courses, and a lot of other resources that are available to learn Apache Beam. Today, here in the slides, I'm going to be focusing on a few pointers, on a few resources, but there are many more, okay? By far, I think the most interesting resource that you have is the Tour of Beam. When I started learning about Apache Beam, well, you had to install dependencies, like you had to have the Python version installed in Apache Beam as a dependency and so on. You don't have to do that anymore. So you have here the tool of Apache Beam that you can use just in your website, in your web browser, sorry, not in your website. So the tool of Beam is available in three languages. You can log in to keep track of your to keep track of your progress, sorry, of in the website. You can put it in dark mode or light mode, and you can just execute examples and exercises and challenges well to learn about Apache Beam. You see here different sections in increasing order of difficulty and a final challenge that you can run here inside the playground. Let's have a look, for instance, at some of the transforms, okay? For instance, I had some example with map, okay? A map like a Purdue one-to-one, okay? You see here on the left, you see some documentation explaining the example, and then you can run the example here on the right. Let's run it like this, okay? And you see here the output. See, this is the output of this pipeline. You also see here the graph. And you can edit the code and change it and play with the code in a perfectly safe environment, because you are not going to break anything by running code here in this platform. So for instance, let me have a look here at this side inputs example, okay? So you see here some documentation about side inputs. I'm gonna do some live coding, okay? This is a little bit dangerous here in a video and in live, okay? But let me, for instance, I'm gonna change this dictionary to a P collection and think and see how this changes the system. Let's first run, okay, to make sure that we don't change the output. We see here the different elements of the output. We see here the graphs. Okay, I don't like this example because normally for side inputs I like to do something like this. Okay, so I'm gonna do a create. Oh, sorry, not so much. See, you can also autocomplete. Create like this. See this red crosses that I have here. You also have this highlight of whether the code is correct or not. Okay, so I'm gonna put, for instance, here this is gonna be a list. See, this is not correct. Okay, and right now here, well, I'm gonna do tuples, for instance. I'm gonna put, I don't know, like a parenthesis here. Okay, see, well, I'm making apparently some mistakes. Okay, so this is a very friendly environment to write your code in the web browser without having to dedicate any resource to run the pipelines. Okay, so well, let me change this to tuples, wherever. Okay, for instance, well, now that I have started, I have to finish the example. Okay, and now I shall put some parentheses here. Hopefully, I will be fixing this. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Okay, good. Okay, so far so good. Okay, and now here, instead of passing this like this, I'm gonna do a beam p-value as dic. Okay, it was already a dictionary before. Okay, but well, let me just do it like this. Okay, you see that I'm auto-completing. Okay, sorry. Now I'm gonna run it. I don't think, I hope the output is going to change. Okay. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake, okay? Oh, I made a mistake. Yeah, of course, because this is a beam transform, it has to start somewhere, okay? You see here that this is actually starting here in the pipeline, so I forgot to put here. So it doesn't matter if you do something incorrect, because, well, it's gonna fail, it's gonna tell you the error, and you can fix it. And I have now two transforms with the same label. Okay, let me put here a label, okay? This is a side input. Okay, I'm gonna put this label, for instance. It's perfectly safe. and it's actually meant for this, okay, because it's about learning. So you're gonna make mistakes while you're learning. Okay, we see here the same output, but now the graph of the pipeline is slightly different because we have changed this by using a p-value. Okay, so this is the tour of Beam. I strongly recommend it to use this resource to shape your Apache Beam skills and learn about all the API and all the transforms that you can do in Apache Beam. Okay, and at the end of the example, so yeah, so some of these are really like challenging examples. Okay, so this is like from 0 to hero in a couple of weeks, I would say. Okay, so there are lots of exercises. So that's about the tour of Beam. You also have the Beam playground. Okay, so let me open here the Beam playground. It's a very similar website. The tour of Beam is kind of like the playground with specific examples. But here, if you need to run some quick pipeline in Java or in Python, in Scala, in Go, you just have here, let me put, I don't know, like for instance, Python, for instance. Let's make the example, the same change that we did before in another video. Oh, sorry, I was autocomplete. Beam map print, for instance, and let's run it. So you have a very quick, very fast way of just copy pasting some code here and run it. Okay, so here's the change. Okay, and same with any other language. Let me put, I don't know, like for instance, Scala using CO from Spotify, the framework that Spotify makes on top of Apache Beam. Okay, so here I have some example. Okay, so let me run it. This is gonna go into compile the code. Okay, you see here, so you see here that it has been compiling the code. Well, it already compiled and it's running the output very quickly. Okay, and also with Java, so you don't have to install Java in your computer just to run it. Okay, let me run it just to show it very quickly. Okay, I think it's already finished. Yes, it's already finished. Okay, and then you see here the graph. Okay, so because so I don't remember exactly what this example is doing, but it has a little bit of complexity. So you can take any example that you find out there, okay, like in a repo and so on, and just run it in the playground. And as a matter of fact, the examples that you find in the website, they have the playground embedded in inside. Okay, and if you want to embed the playground in your own website, you can also do that. Okay, if you go here and click in new examples, you have here all the potential use cases of the playground. Okay, so embed into any HTML, embed into the Bing website, or just using as the playground web app. Okay, and you can also contribute with examples here. Okay. If you change one example here and you do any kind of custom example, you can also share your code, literally your code, with anyone by using these links here. Okay, so it's a very handy way of showing off, even I would say, Apache Beam in any website. Okay, what other resources do you have to learn about Apache Beam? We have a specialization in Coursera, more focused on data flow, but it also includes a couple of courses about the Apache Beam in general. Okay, so if we go here to the specialization, there are 3 courses: foundations, developing, and operations. Okay, and for instance, in develop pipelines, let's see if we can. Well, let's go to the course. Let's go to the course. You can see that modules, there are lots of concepts about Apache Beam. You can learn about state and timers, about sources and seeks and schemas and so on. So even though it's very focused on data flow, there are also generic knowledge about Apache Beam in this course. The labs that are part of this course are put together in this itinerary, the quest of Apache Beam. And by passing this quest, that is also linked in the learning resources page in the website, by passing this quest, you can get your Apache Beam skills certified. Okay, so with this badge that you can just share in LinkedIn, put in different places. Okay, so I recommend you passing this certification if you want to have some evidence on where are your skills in Apache Beam. Books. Let's talk about books. There are two main books that I have enjoyed reading a lot, and that I use myself also to learn a lot when I started doing stuff with Apache Beam. So here on the left, we have this Building Big Data Pipelines with Apache Beam by one of the Apache Beam contributors, Jan Lukaski. It's really full of very interesting examples. It comes with a GitHub repository with all the code in Java for all the examples. In the book, the examples are run using Flink as a kind of a local runner with Docker. But you can also take the examples and run them in the playground, for instance, by just copy pasting the code or by importing the URL from GitHub, which is also an option in the playground. So if you take this book from end to end, you will have a very thorough and very detailed and didactic experience of being, let's say, from the beginning until the end. Okay, so I totally recommend you using this book as kind of like the steps in a course to learn about Apache Beam. If you want to learn about the streamings, this book is strongly recommended. So this book is still very relevant, even though I think it has already 5 years. It's already 5 years old or something like that. But this documents the Apache Beam model for streaming pipelines and how the streaming systems works in combination with Apache Beam, like PubSub in Google Cloud, Kafka, and so on. Okay, so reading this book will give you a very detailed view of how streaming pipelines should be designed and how they're run in Dataflow, how they're run in Flink, and in other runners. I strongly recommend you this book for learning about Apache Beam. And these are also main contributors, like actually the original contributors even of Apache Beam and Dataflow. It's a really very interesting book. And talking of examples, I would like also to highlight the Dataflow cookbook. This is not one of the resources that is included in the Learning Resources page in Apache Beam, but still I find it a very interesting source, and I use it a lot to copy-paste, like I have to confess it, to copy-paste code for my own pipelines. Okay, so this is a GitHub repository with lots of examples in Java, Python, and Scala. Let's, for instance, have a look here at some of the examples. Like, for instance, if I want to go to the basics, let's go to like a combine per key. Okay, so you have here a full example on how to run combine per key. The examples also come with some documentation. You could take this code. Can I copy this code? Let me see. Let me try to go to the playground here. Let me change this to Python. Okay, I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna copy paste this, and I'm gonna pray to see if this works. Okay, let me see if this is running. Let me see the result here. See, it's working. Good. Okay, good. And the graph should be here is the graph. Okay, see, it is as easy as this to go and run these examples up from the Dataflow cookbook. The name can be a little bit misleading because it's not only about Dataflow, it's also about Apache Beam. For sure, there are some parts that are more specific to Dataflow, like for instance, these BigQuery modules, okay, like read BigQuery tables from. Well, so you need here access to BigQuery. So maybe this is not the best example to run in the playground, but there are many other examples that are totally generic, okay, and that you could also run in the playground, for instance, by just copy pasting. Okay, let me do it again. I love it. This is almost magical. Now run. Let's see. It's processing. Well, this failed. Okay, I don't know why it failed. Okay. I'm not authorized to perform this action. Okay, I don't know what this pipeline is doing. So maybe yes, it's actually trying to subscribe to a topic in PubSub. Okay, well, I chose a wrong example. Okay, let's see this one here. It's also taking data from PubSub. Okay. Well, I made a mistake. See, you cannot connect to external resources from this website, but for anything that is self-contained, it's a perfect platform. And here you have all the examples. Have a look at the README of the Dataflow cookbook, okay, because it has some documentation about all the examples, and you will find lots of examples on that you can run in the playground. And if you want to run them in Google Cloud, in Dataflow, in your own computer, so you also have instructions on how to do that here. Well, so these are all the learning resources that I wanted to highlight today. If you are thinking of giving your first steps with Apache Beam, please have a look at the learning resources page, have a look at the tour of Beam, I strongly recommend it, and I wish you all the best. Okay, remember that you have also the community resources to seek help in case you need to make any questions, and well, enjoy Apache Beam with these resources.